The Unseen Path, Understanding God's Plan for Your Life. In a small, quiet town, there lived a young woman named Sarah. She was in her late 20s, had a college degree, and yet felt lost. She had always dreamed big, imagined a life full of purpose and meaning, but as the years passed, things didn't seem to align. She watched her friends achieve milestones, successful careers, relationships, travel, and personal growth, while she felt stuck. Every morning, she would wake up to the same routine, unsure of the next steps. She had a good job, but it didn't ignite her passion. She was in a relationship that felt comfortable, but she wasn't sure if it was what she truly wanted. And most importantly, she felt disconnected from her deeper purpose. What was she meant to do? Where was she supposed to go? Why did life seem so confusing? One chilly autumn afternoon, Sarah found herself sitting at her usual cafe, sipping her coffee and staring out the window. The world seemed to pass her by, and yet she remained stuck, paralyzed by doubt and fear. As she sat there, an elderly man approached her table and asked if the seat across from her was taken. He looked kind, with gentle eyes, and something about him felt different. He carried a quiet peace that Sarah found intriguing. She smiled and invited him to sit. The man introduced himself as Mr. Thomas. He had a calm, deliberate way of speaking that put Sarah at ease. After exchanging pleasantries, the man seemed to sense that something was troubling her. He gently asked, "What's on your mind, young lady?" Sarah sighed deeply, unsure of where to begin. She found herself telling him about her struggles, the confusion she felt about her life, and the overwhelming sense of uncertainty that had been following her for years. She spoke about her frustrations with trying to figure out her career, her relationships, and her overall direction. "I feel like I'm just drifting, Mr. Thomas," she said, looking down at her hands. "I know I'm meant for something more, but I don't know what that is. I don't know how to find it, and I'm afraid I might never figure it out." Mr. Thomas listened quietly, nodding with understanding. Then, after a long pause, he smiled gently and said, "Sarah, do you know how a tree grows?" She looked at him, slightly puzzled. "A tree?" she repeated. "Yes," he said, "a tree. When a seed is planted, it doesn't know exactly how it will grow. It doesn't see the path ahead of it. It faces the soil, darkness, and challenges. But with time, patience, and care, the seed begins to sprout. It doesn't force its growth. It simply trusts the process, trusts that the sun will shine when needed, the rain will come when needed, and that its roots will grow deep into the earth. Eventually, it becomes something beautiful, even though it couldn't see it at the start." Sarah was silent for a moment, contemplate. Mr. Thomas nodded. "Exactly. Life's journey, Sarah, is like that seed's growth. You may not always see the full picture. You may feel lost, unsure, or even stuck. But every step you take, even when it feels uncertain or difficult, is part of God's plan. Just as the tree doesn't force its growth but allows the process to unfold, you must trust that God is guiding you, even when you can't see the way. It's okay not to have all the answers now." Sarah's heart softened as she listened. "But how do I know if I'm on the right path?" she asked, her voice full of longing. Mr. Thomas smiled warmly. "Faith. Faith is the key. When you trust God's plan for your life, you trust that He's leading you to exactly where you need to be, even if you don't fully understand it yet. Sometimes the path may seem unclear, and it may seem like things are falling apart, but they are actually falling into place in ways you can't see yet. Every struggle, every setback, and every choice is part of the bigger picture. Trust in the timing of your life and have faith that you're not alone in this journey." The words sank deep into Sarah's heart. She had been so focused on trying to control her future, on having all the answers, that she had forgotten to trust the process. She realized that she had been waiting for a clear sign or a perfect moment to start living the life she was meant to live. But perhaps the sign wasn't some grand revelation, it was in the small steps, in the moments of faith and trust. Mr. Thomas continued, you don't have to have everything figured out today. Take one step forward, no matter how small. Trust that God has a plan for you, and with each step, He will reveal more of it to you. Sometimes, the most beautiful journeys begin with a single act of trust. That night, Sarah went home with a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. The weight of trying to figure everything out was lifted. She decided that she would take her life one day at a time. She would continue to work hard, but without the pressure of needing everything to align immediately. She would trust that each day, each choice, was part of God's greater plan. Over the next few months, Sarah found herself embracing life in a new way. She wasn't waiting for a perfect moment or an obvious path, she was living fully, trusting that God was guiding her, even when she didn't have all the answers. And slowly, things began to shift. Her career took a turn in a direction she had never expected, but one that felt right. She met new people, found deeper connections, and discovered passions she never knew existed. Life didn't suddenly become perfect, but it became clearer. And most importantly, she no longer felt lost. Moral of the story: life doesn't always unfold according to our plans, but it unfolds exactly as it's meant to. Trust that God is guiding you, even when the path seems unclear. Take each step with faith, and know that the journey, no matter how uncertain it seems, is leading you.